we're going to need some more O faces. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Wednesday morning over here from a 6:30 a.m. Helsinki, Finland. As always, want to wish you the best and the happiest because we got, we actually have plenty to talk about today with the lack of follow through from yesterday to the downside. That once again keeps the Bulaw's hopes alive, at least for now. And O faces beware because we are very close to a resolution here, it seems like. So with that in mind, let's put the folks over here in the Krown Chain application, which we found at app.krownchain.net. And by the way, the new rendition, we are actually slating it to come out on Monday. We want to start the new month with a fresh face, and we're really excited about it because we actually just implemented some really key features with regards to actually setting up your own customized alerts in a way that you actually have even more to do there than TradingView, at least, well, especially if like you're unpaid on TradingView because they only limit you to I think 1 or 2. Anyways, with that said, on the Krown Chain application over here, what can we find? Bitcoin dominant, still hanging around that 63% marker, of which we actually did kind of see it just hover in the same region from yesterday to today, as Bitcoin and et al. Are pretty much all hanging on to the same range. What do we see on open interest? A little bit up there, but still more or less on the bottom side of that range as well. Still looking at a range between about 4.5 billion and 6.5 billion, as we have seen between the $31,000 region to the downside on price action and about $40,000 to the upside on price action. Anyways, Fear Ingredient Index also popping up 7 points from a 71 to a 78, which is rather interesting because we really didn't see all that much of anything yesterday. And into the data tab we go. I'm curious what the global frame rate is showing today, as we did see a major outlier yesterday. Yes, and no longer is it there. In fact, we do still see 3 exchanges, in negative rates. Bitfinex at negative 0.05%, and we see FTX at negative 0.1%. But again, not really consequential on either side. However, it is rather interesting. Oh, and even Kraken. No, that's not negative. That's 0. But more importantly, that is just interesting for the fact that you actually are getting paid to hold longs right now there. So with that in mind, usually if we did see it, staying for quite some time in a little bit more of an exaggerated sense, it actually does typically mark off some pretty damn major lows, especially especially contrary to the general trend here, which is still to the upside. So that is of interest, but not actionable as it is right now. So with that said, we're going to go into the actual price action charts. Do I have any announcements to make? Twitch today, fuck Genichiro Ashina and Lady Butterfly, and let's get into it, baby. There we go. So let's start off with Mr. Ethereum once again, mostly because, I do look for Ethereum to kind of give direction right now, as it does seem to be the leader. And once again, we have another stutter step alongside that bottom side support on the short-term time frames. And this is still setting up right here. So the Bollinger Bands are actually telling us something very important right now as they collapse into each other. It's telling us that this is a consolidation. So we're not really looking at this as or at least I'm not looking at this reversal as it is just yet. The only way that I look at Ethereum as a full-on reversal is if we take out the last higher low, which is all the way down at 1111 and some odd change. And more importantly, with that, we can have a little bit of downside displeasures within the range, or even down right back down to $1,200. But as long as that area is not broken, we technically do not have a reversal right here. Yes, there are divergences forming. Yes, there are several things of particular interest. But as it stands right now, I do like the reaction off the 20 simple yesterday. And as long as we're above all major moving averages, as this consolidation continues to mature, I do look at that as still okay and still has a chance to the upside. But the resolution points are more or less the same. I want to see either a daily closure above the top side Bollinger Band here, which would be 1435 we'll call it. Or if we just could close on new highs, that would be fine as well, which is just a move above, or sorry, not move above, but close above 1390-ish region. Let me see exactly where that is. 1395 to be exact, and this is on BitMexico. Anyways, on top of that, we still have the same sort of signatures that can be present on the MACD and DMI ADX right here, but I'd keep a very keen eye on this, because if it does fail to cross back onto the upside relatively soon, well, that's not going to be the best signal for us. More importantly, we do see that the DMI ADX is still building up that same signal as well, but the DMI Plus has officially not been dominant anymore, and we do not see the ADX strengthening as well. But the signal is still very close right there, but I need to see it actually confirmed. So these two things still saying, hey, foot off the gas pedal, at least for now. And if we do get that, especially alongside of a closure on a new high, 1395 would be the magical number for that. Then I'd be very confident confident in looking for further continuation to our upside targets. 1600 would be the next one, I believe, or actually no, we've kind of already tested that region, and I guess I don't have my long-term charts on this one right here, but I believe the next one after that was about 1800, which we'll identify on our other charts soon enough. But as it stands right now, I do want to once again reflect upon the weekly. Again, we have been trending above the topside Toronto band for the last few months now, going all the way back to November. So as long as this condition is met, I do still look at this, first and foremost as continuation, most likely. And until we actually get a daily reversal, which remember only happens if we close a daily below the last higher low, then I really don't. I really would still be a little bit hesitant to get full on bearish on this market. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. And of course, when it does, that will be the time to switch on. And I'm sure everyone's going to be, or there's not, well, obviously not everyone, but there will still be some people just like, what the fuck? You turn bearish now? How dare you? Just like when you turn bullish, the bears do it to you as well. But of course, as always, as a trader, if you're never bullish enough for the fucking bulls, you're never bearish enough for the fucking bears. It is just the purgatory between the two gangs. Anyways, do we see anything on the 2-day and 3-day? I believe we just closed a fresh one yesterday night. Yes, indeed, we did. So this is a completely new one right here. Again, same sort of signal that could be building right here. The 2-day actually did fire off an ADX strengthening right there. However, I want to see this sustained while the DMI plus actually gets a positive slope. Right now, it is certainly not. So we are essentially, if you are going to be bullish on this, what I can say is that you are looking for a resolution probably, I mean, at the very least before Monday, but probably within these next 2 to 3 days, it looks like to me. And that is very, 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 very interesting right now, mostly because that would imply that, again, granted the momentum all sort of signals that we saw on the daily and the 2-day matching up with each other, probably even today would be the day to be watching. So that does also imply on the other side that if we fail to see continuation, it will naturally start to ebb to the downside as well. And of course, Bitcoin being a lot closer to its downside resolution, that would be a major avalanche of effects leading on into the greater market. So as always, everything kind of does work with each other here. And now I want to check out the 3-day as we are closing this one tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, same sort of potential here available as well. Any sort of a closure above the topside Toronto band, which obviously, if it does do that, it's going to meet the daily criteria anyways. You can imagine that it's going to pull up the MACD and the DMI ADX right there. And that would lead on further continuation as well. But just looking at the 3-day, has everything present that would be looking quite nice as well. However, needs to be further confirmed. I want to see the DMI plus get another positive slope on this next tick coming later tonight, and also the ADX remain strong as well. If those two things happen, it's going to start to look pretty damn good as well for another try to the upside. But again, we are at a decision point relatively soon, and the tighter that these 200 bands get over here, the more and more likely that we are to see an actual resolution, maybe even today. This is, I mean, we haven't even seen it this tight since when? It looks to me like the last time we saw it this tight was maybe in December on this consolidation, around 650 before the move up to basically where we're at right now at about 1300. Time before that was way the fuck back on over here in September, October. That was kind of akin to when Bitcoin was consolidating at the $9,000 level, I believe, or sorry, $10,000 level, I believe. Anyways, with that said, I think it's time to go into the regular charts. We'll go over Bitcoin soon enough as well, but the reason why I'm giving Ethereum a big spotlight today is because if Ethereum does take a leg up, I'd essentially expect Bitcoin to kind of follow up as well. We can talk about those targets soon enough, but Ethereum is the one that's a little bit more obvious right now and a little bit more ready, so to speak. It's a little more mature. Anyways, looking at daily Ethereum for regular charts, we do see that daily stocks are going to have another chance to cross the upside. This would also be rather powerful as that condition will be met and force that cross the upside as long as we close above 1275, as you saw right there. And as you can see, we are clean, almost $50 above that current price action right now. So it's obviously is a long day left to trade, 19 hours and 11 minutes and 10 seconds. But if that condition is met, momentum also is turning up while all those other things are potentially present, as we are very close to a topside resolution right here. Yes, I start to look more and more for that actual resolution. But at the end of the day, for myself specifically, and of course this is not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, we wouldn't want this to be construed as such. Of course, I would still want to see price action actually close on a new high, which is obviously going to force all those other conditions to be met as well. So everything works together, and confluence is good, and then we can start to talk about much more deeper targets, of which I should bring out my more long-term chart here, just to confirm that I was on the money with the past prior ones. Let's see. Let's go to a higher time frame like this and Nope, that's not it right there. So it must be this one by process of elimination. Why do I have 3 fucking Ethereum charts? That's a good question. I actually don't know anymore because I don't think I need the last one on there. So I think it's time for me to, to simplify this up. But yeah, looking at this right here, we did test in the 414 already. You could certainly say that. Yeah, we did get up to about 1500 the other day, and that was 1485. Nice one. Still looking at this target right here. If we do take out this horizontal, which would be about that 1395 region, or if we even just take out the 25th of January high, I'd be confident in looking at that as continuation implied as well. Obviously, closure is going to be a little bit better. Could probably nail this down on a 4 hour as well. But this would have a pattern target based off the ascending triangle all the way up to 1700. That's a 2-spot extension right there. I highly doubt things actually do stop there, just because I almost never see reversals at that level, except for maybe a short-term sell-off. However, realistically, it's a 2414 and the 2618 that I'd really be looking towards, and that's above 1800, almost closer to 2000 at that point. So that is where I would be looking for. Again, if that condition is met, going down to the lower term timeframes right here, could we nail this down a little bit better? Yes, we could, but on a 4 hour, I would need to see a closure above 1445. That would be on new highs as well, and that would look pretty damn good. But while we are here on the lower term timeframes, it is important to look at the 4 hour RSI playing out hidden bullish divergence, and also 4 hour Stokes can have a chance to cross the upside here as well, as long as we had a closure above 1293. If you recall earlier when we looked at the daily Stokes, they were actually going to cross as to the upside once again, and actually retaining the bullish control zone as long as we close above 1275. So again, we actually can see all of these building upon each other, and it's very, very close. Is it confirmed yet? No, but it is close right there. So I would keep an eye on that. And if that condition is met, obviously, lower time frames first. Those lead on into the higher term time frames. And but again, it's a long day to go. Could it be that we just fail all of this and come back down? Yeah, absolutely. And at that point, I'd be looking somewhere just around $1,200 for the next short-term bounce, but it's going to start to not look all that amazing at that price point. Of course, we have higher lows, like we said, as long as you're above 1111, but coming back down there again, it's going to be a little bit unwelcome, but fair enough. Have to stick to the guns in these particular situations. Anyways, moving on to the 3 hour, what do we see right here? 3 hour Stokes are popping back up as long as you're above 1265. And what is that akin to? Is that actually above our last higher low right here? It is, although this doesn't necessarily look the best right there. It doesn't look like it looks like an actual downtrend. It's what it looks like, lower lows and lower highs. But I'm curious what the 2 hour looks like right here. 2 hour looks a little bit sloppy as well. As long as we're above 1308 and a half, it will remain to the upside here as well. You can see very naturally that if if Ethereum does want to come back down, the buy hourly right here, 1235, 1236 would be a natural target for that region and a natural bounce area as well. But again, want to give it a chance here, and as it is very, 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 very close. Looking at the hourly, 1371 is going to be the magical number, and I did miss something over here on the daily, as we do have a regression coming in all the way from our last major lows, all the way back on over here. If you want to draw out something like this, that would be about appropriate, coming in around the edge of the bullish control zone. So that's what the bulls are likely going to be looking at around today. If these conditions are all met, I do think that it keeps the O-face rally alive, at least for now. And if Ethereum takes a leg up here, I'd be looking for pretty much everything else to follow, especially, all of the DeFi coins who seem to be having a good time during this whole consolidation. But this trend line coming in all the way back from early September, which, if I recall, I believe that was when we were way the fuck back on over here at about 350, connected with this low over here before this breakout about 400. This one over here at about 550 before this breakout. This one over here at about 650 before this major breakout. And then once again, we're going to have a chance to, essentially fulfill another test of this in where we currently are at. So that would be, melting up another 1300, right? So more importantly, with all this in mind, it is certainly not confirmed just yet. It's all in place. But at the end of the day, this is why I do put the utmost importance on the actual price action charts itself. And until we actually do take out this prior high, whether it be on a 4 hour above 1435, or a daily above, I believe it was 1395, then I'd still remain a little bit hesitant on it. But everything is essentially present right now. Now we just need to see follow through, and if that does happen, well, I'd be looking for everything else to follow through as well. Anyways, speaking of, let's go talk about Bitcoin for a second here. First and foremost, I actually want to check it out on this secondary chart just to see if there's anything of particular interest. I still see the bottom side trend band around 29.6. 7. So if we do pop back down, it's kind of a natural area. But other than that, I don't really see anything of too particular, of particularly amazing interest, except for the daily MACD, which continues to loosen its grip on the histogram right here. Again, as Bitcoin more or less puts in a base of support right around 30,500, doesn't mean that it can't break, but as long as that area does hold, this will naturally, start to look a lot more like a reaccumulation, which according to the open interest, that still is a potential here. Looking at DMI ADX, same sort of thing. The signal is certainly baking. However, this one a lot closer to the downside resolution as we are close to that 30,500-ish region. But more importantly, the DMI minus technically dominant right now, not having a positive slope, which is not really a signal in my opinion. And the ADX is actually flat is the way that I read this. So if we do see on the next tick that it actually does fully angle to the downside, then yes, likely a precipitous signal for downside breakdown. But until that actually happens, can keep the O-face rally hopes alive. What about on 12-hour right here? We did have that regular bullish divergence. I think that signal's already played out, and now we formed something new. But 12-hour MACD, you actually will have a chance here as well. Any sort of a closure above this prior closing high, which is about 33,200, should likely do it. In fact, funnily enough, the video that I'm releasing a little bit later today, caretakers even brought out a new indicator that will show you exactly where that will cross. Actually, no, I'm going to post that one probably tomorrow. I have another caretaker one today though, however. So fear not, sir, fear not. And sirettes, DMI ADX not really giving a signal here. So on the 12-hour, if we're not having a signal, then the daily one is probably going to fade away here as well, and we do reset. Doesn't imply bullish or bearish, just implies boorish, really. Looking at the 2-day, what do we see? Nothing of particular interest, at least that's actionable right now. 3-day on the fresh tick, we actually do have a fresh downside cross on MACD, but this is not coming alongside of a break-in structure just yet, so this is not actionable in and of itself. I look at that as a nothing as it is. And what about the weekly? Anything particularly interesting on the weekly? Well, of course, we did close below the topside Toronto band for the first time in a very long time, actually all the way back on over here in August, September of 2020. So what does that imply? Well, anytime that we did do that in the past rallies, in the past bull markets, we actually did initiate tests down to the 27th moving average after that. So if you are looking for something bearish, this would probably be the biggest one for me. What's also really, really interesting about this is the fact that the 20 simple is where it's in the lower $20,000 region right now, currently just below 21,000 bucks. And you would imagine that over the next week or two at most, it's actually going to rise up to the $23,000 to $24,000 region. Why is that interesting? Well, because if Bitcoin does break down, where would my targets be? Again, this is if and only if, to be very, very deliberately clear, if and only if Bitcoin closes below our bottom side liquid zone right here at 30,500 on a 4-hour or greater. It's technically speaking more like 30,750 if you want to be super exact with it. Then yes, I would be targeting this order block down here between 23 and 24,000 bucks, directly in line with the 20 simple on the weekly. So with that in mind, if Bitcoin does break down, yeah, I'd be looking for a pretty fucking massive move here. We're talking about a $7,000 to $8,000 move, top to bottom. So very, very tradable, and would certainly shift the market dynamics for quite some time, at least a foreseeable future. And have a nice O-face rally for you, sir. Anyways, just focusing directly on Bitcoin right now. We do have a little bit of interesting things going on here, moving average wise. Bitcoin actually seeing the 10 symbol cross the downside of the 21. It's not confirmed just yet. It will be confirmed tonight with any sort of a closure below the 10 symbol, obviously, which is 33,295. So again, we are seeing several signals that if Bitcoin and Ethereum and just the general market are going to continue the upside, we actually want to see moves probably within these next 24 hours, 48 hours, at most. And if you want to make an excuse for CMEs, and we can say, starting next Monday, but I really do think with it probably before the end of this week, if it is actually going to move to the upside, you would expect to see it around that time. Not that expectation is a good thing to say in the context of trading, but that's likely how it would happen. Like that would have to happen in order for that to actually work out. On top of that, we do see that daily stocks are going to have a chance to officially cross the upside here with any sort of a closure above 31,500. Raspy lesbian voice coming out. My apologies. Been yelling too much at fucking Jenny Churro. It was oh so sweet too, but now we have a bigger issue today. Have to take down fucking Headless Ape. Oh man, who's ready for another raid session? So embarrassing. Good thing I have it all recorded too, so I can relive those very disgusting moments of my history. Anyways, anyways, so going to the lower term time frames over here, what do we see? 4-hour stocks are popping back up as well, as long as we're above 31,650. Very interesting that we see that pretty much in line with what the daily is suggesting as well. And Bitcoin actually right around that territory as well. But, even if we do see across the downside from this region, I still hold on to what I've been saying about price action first. I need to see this area broken. Can Bitcoin get a few wicks below, just like what we saw on the 22nd of January? Yes, as long as there's no closures below. I don't look at it as an actual breakdown. But when it does break down, well, then we got big problems, as this really is looking like a descending triangle now. Before, you couldn't have really said it, but now with the advent of the last rejection at about $35,000, it would work out as one. Volume would work out. Shape, size, smell, taste would all work out. And I imagine that this probably has a measured move, probably down to $23,000 to $24,000 if I had to guess. And what do you know? Let's see. Where is it? Oh my God, is that 23,500 right in the fucking middle? You're goddamn right it is, sir. So yes, several things confluent with that downside move. If that does happen, so $23,000 to $24,000 would be my target for that. Until that happens, though, I do remain, I guess, bullish is not the right word, but I'd be looking for things to kind of grind this area out and then flip back around. And this downtrend resistance right here is going to be confluent with this horizontal at about 34,500, which is this last lower high right here, which if Bitcoin does get back above, then we can be, or at least I can be, short-term, medium-term bullish once again, and looking for 37,500 first target, and then really it's going to be like a $40,000 target, to be fair. So we are at a big decision point, probably within these next couple days, if I had to say. Anyways, 3-hour, what do we see right here? 3-hour stokes are popping back up as well, but looks pretty flaccid to me. 370 is the magical number on this one. And do we see anything on 3-hour RSI? Looks okay. Does still look okay. I wouldn't say it's neither bearish nor bullish right here. It's neutral in the context of a consolidation on the lower term timeframes. It doesn't really give us much. So again, price action first. What do we see on bi-hourly? Bi-hourly stokes are nice and erect right now, as long as they're above 31,550. Interesting that we see this start to line up with a lot of different time frames now. And oh wow, HVP is really low here. So again, do we have enough juice to put in a big move today? Would that be enough to actually break to the downside or to the upside as well? Yes. So timing wise, within these next 48 hours, I think it's very likely we're going to see a major move. It's either going to be above 34.5 or below 30,500. You already know what I'd say about both sides. So now with timing indicators, we are starting to really line this one up. Anyways, moving on to the hourly, what do we see right here? Coming down, and that will remain to the downside as long as below 32,550 region about. Which actually doesn't really line up with anything else, which is rather interesting. I guess the last hourly lower high. Hourly RSI, a little bit more downside in the short term is what it would imply, but that's not a super damning signature right there. Still long term, okay. So fair enough on that one as well. And this one contracting rather aggressively now too. So if the hourly and 2-hour really start to line up when this gets below the teens or even to the mid-teens, that's when I really start to look for, at the very least, a test to one of these sides of the range. In this case, probably the downside first. Does it imply a breakdown? No, it doesn't imply a breakdown, but it would, it certainly does start to line up with a lot of cautionary things going on right now. So let's go to the 12-hour and see what the 12-hour says. 12-hour stokes are technically up right now, but we'll cross the downside as long as if we do close below 31,550. So you've seen this 31,500 region come in on a shit ton of different time frames: daily, 12-hour, 4-hour, 3-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour, basically. And if we do start closing below there, that will be concerning. We'll start to other probabilities on, at the very least, a test to the downside once again. Somewhere around 30,500 to 30,750 would be about right. And does that actually align with the break? Well, we'll see in real time. But for right now, if I had to call it, if you put a gun to my head, which hopefully would never happen because that's just ridiculous, but but if I had to call it right now, do I think that Bitcoin's going to get another wick or two down into this blue box territory? Yes, I do think so. Do I think that it breaks? Based off Ethereum, actually, I kind of want to go the other way on Ethereum. No, I wouldn't say. At least my opinion wouldn't say. But my opinion's irrelevant. I trade technical analysis, not my stupid fucking opinion, because it's wrong all the time, and it's also not really verifiable as far as far as like a trading plan goes. So. At the end of the day, the critical areas for the next 48 hours especially is going to be 34,500 to the upside. Above there, I'm bullish for a move, another $3,000 move to the upside, plus continuation over time, likely to new all-time highs at that point. To the downside, again, 30,500, we'll call it. Any sort of a closure below there on a 4-hour or greater, problem city, sir. Anyways, is there anything different on CMEs? Perhaps CME looks a lot more downside angled in the short term. Another wick down to about 30,000 bucks would certainly not be out of the question. Does that imply a breakdown? Well, I need to see a closure, but damn close. Certainly we'll give it a chance. What about the daily right here? We will see daily Stokes cross the upside on CMEs much differently than what we see on spot price action. So this is really, 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 really important that we actually identify this right here, because 35,000 bucks would be needed on CMEs. So that means that it's much further away. So at the very least, if Bitcoin is going to flip back around, probably does take a little bit more time, another 2 to 3 days, as that would that number would naturally come down. But for right now, that would imply pressure to the downside more immediately, actually. 4-hour, same thing. We do see that it'll stay to the downside as long as below 32,550. And for reference, there's really not much of a premium on CME futures over spot price action, maybe $100 at most, looks like. So it's not all that much. Anyways, moving on to the 3-hour, and not the strongest signal right there as well. But that's where we start getting that 31,500 number once again. Bi-hourly showing 31,500 as well, and hourly an hourly showing 32.5. So the very low term timeframes are once again in unison, but the medium and higher term timeframes not as much actually, and would imply a little bit more downside pressure in the short term. Other than that, though, it always going to come down to the actual range itself. So I feel like I'm kind of being a bit of a broken record, but it is important actually, at least for myself and my own trading activities, to kind of repeat that sort of a thing, because at the end of the day, you should be able to see these things coming from a mile away. And well, we've had these areas marked out now for, well, I guess to the downside for almost a month now. To the upside, however, we've just been marching it down from the lower highs. So trend is down right now on the medium and lower term timeframes, to be fair. Anyways, let's see. What else do we have? Do we want to go check out traditional markets? Yes, we do, because if these remain strong, kind of hard to be bearish on everything else, and they are remaining strong. So we did see further continuation up to our 13,600 target for NASDAQ. Do I think that it come back down and fill like last daily open, 13,475? Yep, no problem there if it does want to have a short-term down, but ultimately I would be looking for a continuation to the upside probably over the next week or two. Looking towards the 2618 right here at 13,825 region is where I'd be looking towards for the next potential ranging activity between that area and about 13.6 right here. Assuming that condition is met, but everything's looking good for continuation right here. Daily RSI tells a story, very, very healthy, playing at that hidden bullish divergence to new all-time highs. Usually a very strong signal. Historic volatility percentile is in the process. I mean, it's very low here, but it is in the process of expanding, it looks like. So we're seeing an expansion phase as it makes new all-time highs, as momentum oscillators are all pointed north. Looks fucking good. Yes, I do think that the next target does get hit. I wouldn't really give a time frame for that. I don't think that can be done, but I do think that just generally marches its way up there for the next, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, whatever it ends up being. What about SPY futures over here? Not as strong, certainly not as strong actually. Do we see anything on the daily jewel? Could be lining up for a signal, but if NASDAQ isn't looking like that, do I think that SPYs are going to do it? No, definitely. Well, I shouldn't say definitely not, but very unlikely. NASDAQ's leading the market right now, so strength in it will pour on over into the other things. And looking at the weekly right here, I think it's very obvious that no, this is not really looking like a top. This is looking like continuation once again. And same sort of targets here as well. We did hit our 414 target, although, same thing as we said before. It's unlikely to really stop there. Just a little bit of a short-term consolidation. Ultimately, I'm looking towards just south of 4,000 bucks actually. So fair enough on that one. And of course, the reason why I do talk about this, not just because people are interested in traditional markets, but also because it does have implications with Bitcoin, as a correlation over the long period of time has been rather strong on the macro. So if these continue upwards and onwards, as again, assuming that Ethereum does as well, you kind of have to be bullish on everything, or at least have a bullish bias first and foremost. But then again, I look at Ethereum right now, it's kind of faltering. Don't do it, Mr. Buterol. Vitalik, send him an O-face. Oh dear Lord. What about DOT over here? I'm putting in a little bit of a high, so we did get the pullback from the prior all-time high. Nice one. Probably does bounce off this current level right here, but I do think that is put in the high for at least a little bit of time and does work its way down towards like 47,000 Satoshis for the next real bounce. Only a short-term bounce kind of implied from where we're at right now. And how high does it get? Maybe back up to 55. I don't really have a strong opinion on that. Ultimately, though, I do think that this one does come further south. Do we have bearish divergence here? We actually don't, because we did technically make a higher high, but this does want to come down right here. Short-term bounce. Ultimately, do you think that it comes back down like 47? Daily SOX popping back down as well. Daily RSI losing its luster right there on contracting volatility. Yeah, very likely does come down a little bit here. Anyways, moving on to Theta. What do we see? Oh wow, it did retest the prior all-time high, like we said. Nice. Exactly as predicted. We predicted it exactly. Doesn't fucking matter. I don't care about predictions. Jesus fucking Christ. Traders, every goddamn trader knows predictions are worthless, sir. They're fucking worthless. You can't predict shit. All you can do is have statistical analysis with these, and that was the most likely thing to happen, yes. But I always want to, through all of the jokes and in hyperbole, I do want to say like more grounded things as well. It's like, hey, yes, we have seen a lot of these things come to fruition over time, I suppose, but more importantly, it's always a game of statistics and probabilities. I never want someone to think that TA is like a hard and fast rule. It's not. Weird things happen. The market is the craziest things can fucking happen. Things that you don't think are possible can and will happen. I mean, if you've even been in these markets for these last 2 to 3 years, you've certainly seen a shit ton of unimaginable things. But yes, this one right here, Theta, probably going to make new all-time highs. Weekly's looking very, 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 very good. And yeah, I'd probably even be looking for it to make another push back onto those prior all-time highs and probably new all-time highs over the next couple of days. Link, should I even talk about this one? Losing a little bit of footing on the daily, but what about the weekly right here? Weekly is looking a little bit toppy now. 4 hour still in an uptrend as well. I don't know on Link actually. I don't know. Let's go look at it on my trending chart over here and let's see what it has to say. Weekly's still fine as long as it looks like this, I suppose. Just kind of testing the top side Krown band right now. I should look at that as an opportunity. Yeah, probably look at that as an opportunity. Probably does try to put in a higher low in the 4 hour, in this region and pulse back up towards 25.5. I'd still be having the long-term targets of 28.5. 28.5 is what I'm trying to say. Don't think that things actually stop there, or we kind of already got up there anyways. Realistically, a little bit north of 30 is where I'd be looking towards before the next major pullback potential. Okay, what else we got? I think that's it. Man. Maybe Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Let's see what that one has to say. For the general altcoin market right here, getting rejected by the 200 simple as it is right now, but it doesn't really look all that strong. This one looks like wants to continue long term. I'm curious what the monthly looks like as well. We are how many days away from the monthly close? We are 1, 2, 3, 4 trading days away from the monthly close. Yeah, this is looking pretty fucking good for continuation. Probably over the next few months, I'll be looking for this to pop back up to 5.5 million plus Satoshis. Actually, while we're here on the monthly and while we're getting near to, oh my God, this video is already 32.5 minutes. I'm sure a lot of people are talking about the monthly potential shooting star dildo on Bitcoin. Again, still a few days left to go here, so I wouldn't judge just yet. But yes, if it does close like this, that would be a little bit concerning, seeing as the higher the time frame that we go, the more and more that these candlestick formations do seem to actually hold some weight. So typically speaking, actually don't put too much weight on like hammers or shooting stars or unless it's like an engulfing. I really don't put too much weight on it. In the context of cryptocurrency and other markets, does hold true a little bit better. But in this case right here, still a few days left to go. What do we see on momentum oscillators? Monthly Stokes actually will cross the downside if we do close below 34,600. So it is implying that, yes, either Bitcoin breaks above that critical level, which, by the way, that was the short-term lower high, if you recall earlier. It does essentially imply that Bitcoin either gets continuation here or rallies over for a little bit of time. We probably work our way back down to the lower $20,000 region. Looking at monthly RSI, what do we see? So this is also very concerning as well. If Bitcoin does confirm a high right here, which it is not, and which it is not just yet, and it would take at the very least until the beginning of February to do that. So if it could confirm a local high, how would it look like? Well, first and foremost, you'd have to close something resembling like a shooting star right now, and then get continuation to the downside. If that were to happen, then yes, we would have bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. That would be very, very concerning. And well, at that point, I mean, how much should we rise up? I wouldn't be surprised. Should I say it? Should I say it? It wouldn't be too out of the question if that were to happen to see a move down below 20,000 again. So while 23 to 24,000 would be the target of the first leg, probably bounce there and then continuation, probably 18,000 if I had to guess. But I'd want to see where those come in at the beginning of next month. Anyways, I think it's time to wrap this bitch up because I think we've got about just about everything here that is relevant for now. Do we want to put the focus on Ethereum first or Bitcoin? You know, I think we'll do Ethereum first, actually. Just seems to me that Ethereum is the one that's more close here. It's a little bit more close. All right. So we want this chart right here. Do I have my long term on this one? Motherfucker, I did it again. Where is it for real? There we go. Found it. There you are. No more hiding from me, you good sir. Okay, we'll go back on over here and let's take these off for now. And let's go over here. Let's set this one up as well. Nope, not that one. Let's go over to this one if I can find it. Yep, got it. 1305, sweet one. And do we want to start on the daily? Yeah, we start on the daily. Okay, cool. Let's wrap this bitch up. Ethereum, once again, the star of the show, or potentially the star of the show, as if we do see an upside resolution here, I would imagine that most of the things in the crypto market, Bitcoin included, do get dragged up as well. And this one's the closest one to that resolution that seems to hold a lot of weight or a lot of sway within this market. So first and foremost, we do see that Mr. Buterin still above all major moving averages on this chart. And more importantly, with the Bollinger Bands collapsing in on it, it does suggest that we are getting very mature within this consolidation. Now, first and foremost, for price action, I still want to see a closure on new high for the daily, which would be 13.95. Or if you're going to use a 4-hour, I believe that same region would be 14.45. Yeah, 14.35 that would be. If that condition is met, then yes, I would be looking for continuation to our next upside targets, 1,800 plus, basically 2,000, if, you know, very, very likely. Anyways, looking at our momentum also just down here, MACD, I still want to see a very specific signature. If we do close on new highs, plus a bullish MACD cross the upside, which, by the way, I'm going to release an indicator video from Mr. Caretaker soon enough that will actually show you the prices for that, then very, 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 very likely we do see that continuation. So we want to see these things move together. And then obviously the DMI ADX is going to have a chance to fire off a signal as well. But still, we have been unable to even see a legitimate signal throughout the last few days when it was right fucking there. So the DMI plus technically not dominant anymore. The ADX is not relevant right here as well. So this is still going back into kind of neutrality. And I want to see something very obvious as far as the signal goes before I look at this as actionable. But as you can see, both of them are set up. That also does imply that if we do see Mr. Ethereum start to really falter and come back down below this last higher low, 1111, that would be on, I guess it doesn't matter because all these exchanges are about the same, but this is on Bitstamp, I believe, then yes, I would be looking for a major reversal here. And we can talk about movements down to 900 would be the first target, but probably just small bounce there and continuation implied towards 750 and maybe even beyond there. So for right now, Mr. Ethereum's a lot closer than the other ones, but if it fails, I imagine everything else probably comes down as well. More importantly, on the daily over here on our regular charts, we do see that daily Stokes will cross back onto the upside with any sort of a closure above 1275. This is also to be considered another test of this regression going all the way back to our September lows in the consolidations at 350 bucks for Ethereum, you know, so that is a big one as well. And technically speaking, this would still work out as an ascending triangle as it is. The volume signature would be the key factor in that one, and it still does work out for now, and that would have a measure move up towards, I believe it was 1700 here. But ultimately, like I said, I don't really think things would stop there. I'd be looking really for a move towards the 414 or the 618. So that's just a little bit below 1900, it looks like. As it stands right now, Ethereum, again, the closest one, extremely short term. Does it come back down and tag 1250? Maybe, but I operate off of closures here. And as long as, and as long as it's kind of within the realm of an upside resolution on the daily, I would give it a chance as it's very fucking close. By the way, while we're on the lower term timeframes, 4-hour Stokes will cross to the upside if we do see a closure above 1293 on this next one. 3 hours going to show 1265, which we're currently above by about 50 bucks. Bi-hourly is going to show 1308, so that's a little bit more. Actually, we are literally below that level right now, and hourly is going to show 1362. So gathering all of these together, it would imply that, if we are going to see an upside resolution on Ethereum, probably does happen within these next couple days here, or at least it's going to have a chance to happen within these next couple days. That also implies that if it fails to get the upside continuation, then naturally speaking, it will start to turn on at least short-term and medium-term bearish, and that will give it a chance to actually come back down and break that critical level that we identified at 1111. Now, moving on to Bitcoin, I think that this one's a little bit less interesting, although it is a lot closer to the downside resolution here. So boo laws, turn your ears away, but still the same sort of analysis on this one that I've been having for the last few days. As long as Bitcoin is above 30,500, I would still hesitate to call it a full-on breakdown. Does it look great right here? No. Does it look like the picture of health and fitness right here? No, not really. And does it even look like a bearish redistribution pattern now? Yes, it does, after that rejection at $35,000. And as we identified earlier, that would have a measure move if completed all the way down to 23,500, which is also very interesting because I imagine that's where the weekly 21 is as well. And yes, it is 23,000 right fucking there. Nice one. Anyways, more importantly, back onto this time frame here. It does look like the short-term timeframes want to test it once again. So kind of the same analysis as yesterday, actually. We did say that a likely test down to this blue box territory, anywhere between 30,500 and 30,750. Does it imply a breakdown below there? No. I need to see a closure below there. Then yes, I would target moves down to 23 to 24,000 bucks. Bounces along the way implied somewhere around about 27 low, but just a bounce. By the same token, to the upside, if Bitcoin can just come back above and close on a new high on a 4-hour above 34,500, or take out the last 4-hour high on a wick basis, 34,872.5, then I would be bullish for a move, an extension back up to about 37,500. We're talking about a $3,000 move right there. And realistically, I highly doubt things would stop there. I'd actually be looking for a move back up to 40,000 and probably just an overall resolution of the upside from this formation. So looking at this right now, daily Stokes, I do want to identify that 31,500 is the magical number to turn these back onto the upside. 4 hour going to show about the same level as well, 31,650, obviously closing a lot sooner. 3 hours going to show 31,350, again closing a lot sooner as well. Bi-hourly is going to show 31,500. So all of these kind of coming around the same level, and hourly the odd man out at 32,500, but that will rapidly shift around on the next closure as well. So with all of this in mind, it is looking like another short-term downside test. As long as that doesn't break, do we get those critical closures above those junctions and try to put another potentially anemic rally? Probably yes, but I'd look for Ethereum to kind of set the tone right now. And with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest. Take care, and until next time.